swinging a drive, right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone. Fly the W.
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
W podcast. It's season 4. It's episode 21. Michael Busch gets his revenge against the Dodgers. Crawly, don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, and most importantly, review the podcast and follow all the socials. I'm at Mully Haw on X.
Yep, and you can follow me at Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And if you have anything that you'd like to talk about, email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. Dustin, I never thought I could be so happy and so depressed all in one weekend.
Yeah, pretty wild roller coaster up and down as the Cubs were out in LA. Now they're down in San Diego. But you want to start with the good news? You want to start with the bad news?
I mean, boy, when you talk about the bad news, when you talk about Justin Steele's injury and he's done for the season, that's just what we know right now. It's probably going to be longer than just a season, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
And
they haven't gotten in there yet, right? Not till Friday, right?
Right. And so to me, the shocking thing about the Cubs taking the series and the Dodgers is, you got to think about how down those guys must have been in the clubhouse. Justin Steele has been a Cub since 2014. And the fact that, he's been the ace for the last couple of years. He was their lone all-star appearance a couple of years back, 2 years ago. And he's just a great guy and beloved in the clubhouse. And just to see this happen to him at this age, right when he's looking to get that big contract, I mean, that's
right.
just devastating,
That's another part of it, right, Crawly? It's a great point. It's another part of this whole thing. And there were some rumors running around the internet on Friday that it was going to be more than 2 weeks, but I don't think anybody at that point was predicting what we found out before the game on Sunday afternoon.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that you take a look at. Number one is he's had Tommy John before, and we're not saying he's getting Tommy John again. We don't know. We just know there's structural damage, yada, yada, yada. But when you start to kind of hear some of those inklings of things, and this, right, to me, this is where I started to kind of get really nervous, is when I start to hear this one, when you start to see he's going to receive more opinions. Yep. That to me right there is instantaneous bad news.
That's the indicator, right? That's the indicator.
Right away. That was it. And then, the news comes out on Sunday and you just sit there and you're just, Saturday, Sunday, and you're just stunned as you just kind of sit there and you just don't wish that on anybody. But like I said, just, that game on Monday night that he pitched against the Rangers and to have his little son up at the podium during the presser, you just, all these guys, they bust their butts for this, their whole lives, but then you get into the big leagues and you got to wait 6 years to get that big contract. And Dustin, I know we talked about it. Should Justin Steele get that extension? Should they do it now?
Right.
And they didn't.
Right. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
And as a player, Justin's trying to get that big deal, that big free agent deal. And instead, you saw what happened to Adbert Alzolay. You know what I mean? Eventually, they DFA'd him, and he got picked up by the Mets for nothing. But I hope that he comes back healthy and strong. It's just so disappointing. But Dustin, when we talk about the good news, I was listening to Pat and Ron on 670 The Score this weekend. On Friday night and on Saturday, when they were talking about the Dodger way, right? The Dodger way. And that's the next man up mentality. And you saw it last year with the Dodgers. Nobody is going to feel sorry for you in sports, right? No, none of the other 29 teams are going to care that you lost your ace.
Not one little bit, not even a little tiny bit.
And you can't sit there moping in the clubhouse. You have a job to do and you got to get it done. And the Cubs were going into face a Dodger team that hadn't lost at home. Had not lost at home. And Dustin, I mean, I saw this the other day on MLB. When you talk about Shohei Ohtani leading off, followed by Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman batting third. 5 MVP awards, 6 World Series rings, 20 All-Star nods. I mean, when you talk about a 1-2-3 punch of Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, where do they rank among baseball's greatest trios? And I was kind of thinking in my head, I mean, that is just modern day. Like, let's just say from like our era, 1980 on. I mean, that is just a phenomenal lineup that you have to get through. It's a gauntlet.
Yeah, they're very good. They're very good, and so that means let's get to the good news, right? The good news was that we're going to go through these games, and the Cubs are going to get out of LA and head to San Diego after taking 2 out of 3. But let's start with game number 1, Matt Boyd versus Yamamoto, and this was a good game, and old Cub killer ends up doing in the Cubs.
Yep. Game 1, Yoshinobu Yamamoto continues his utter domination of the Cubs. In the 2 seasons Yamamoto has been in the league, he's 3-0 against the Cubs in 4 starts with an ERA of .45 in 20 innings with a whopping 29 strikeouts to 4 walks. He made the Cubs hitters look absolutely foolish on Friday night. The Cubs were 2 for 28 with 2 hits, 1 walk, and 11 strikeouts against Yamamoto. I mean, he was just spotting that fastball and burying the splitter, and you were behind the count constantly. The Cubs' first base runner didn't come until the 4th inning. Who else? Kyle Tucker, 1 out. He hits a double down the right field line. Next batter up, Seiya Suzuki singles to right. Now, here Seiya makes a mistake. He assumes Tucker is going to get waved home, but third base coach Quentin Berry throws up the stop sign, and Seiya thinks the throw's coming home, so he's moving around to second. He gets caught between first and second and tagged out for the 2nd out of the inning. With Tucker on third, Michael Busch strikes out to end the inning. Dustin, we talked about
they're
how
too
hard
good of a team to make those kind of mistakes, right? You can't do
Right.
that against a team like the Dodgers.
Right. No, you cannot. And I'm just wondering, were you surprised that Quentin Berry held up Tucker? Are you surprised that Suzuki got that wasn't paying attention? I don't know what happened. I mean, were you shocked?
I'm not surprised Suzuki wasn't paying attention. I'll say that. I mean, he's not exactly your greatest baseball runner on the bases, right? That's not necessarily his forte. So it's still at that point, right? It's still a scoreless game,
Right.
right? I mean, you're going to need runs. I understand that, but I mean, you got to think about the guys coming up. And listen, the Cubs' problem so far has not been scoring runs. They can score.
Right. After that blunder, the Cubs' only other base runner was Ian Happ in the 6th inning, who drew out a 2-out walk against Yamamoto, who struck out Kyle Tucker to end his night. For Yamamoto, 6 scoreless innings, gave up 2 hits, both in the 4th, 1 walk, and 9 Ks. So how did the Cubs look against Yamamoto now after that game, Dustin? I mean, for me, as I look at this right here, you got a guy right here where he's just absolutely dominating the Cubs here, where you're taking a look that most of the guys are 1 for 8. And that's the thing, is that if the Cubs want to go far in October, as Craigtober, as you like to call it, they're going to have to get past this guy somehow.
Yep. Got to face him. You got to get used to him. You got to learn what he's doing. Maybe they learned something, right? I mean, the good news is this wasn't the game or the series that's going to move you up into postseason baseball, but let's see what happens. It wasn't their day at the plate. Let's put it that way.
No. And the tough thing about this game is Yamamoto overshadowed a great start by Matt Boyd, right? He's facing that tough Dodgers lineup, and he was going inning for inning with Yamamoto, right?
Yeah, Matt Boyd was great for most of the night.
Yeah, he gave up a walk in the 1st, a walk in the 2nd, single in the 3rd, nothing in the 4th, single in the 5th. So 5 shutout innings, and not a single base runner from the Dodgers made it past first base. But Dustin, I started to see when he came out in the 6th inning, right? To me, I was watching the whole game. He had pinpoint control. But then the first batter he faces is Mookie Betts. And I'm putting this up here. Do you see where that first pitch is? Like, it was not even close to the strike zone. So he got an out there. But when I saw that first pitch, I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, they better have somebody up. And then he gave up a single to Kike Hernandez. But you're looking here, the 3rd, 4th, 5th pitch, you got to head 0-2, but none of those pitches were really competitive pitches. And then once he gave up that single, he hits Freddie Freeman. And trust me, you don't want to give Freddie Freeman anything, but Freeman to me looked rusty in his first start after a stint on the IL. He didn't have his timing down.
No, not even a little bit. No, he looked a little slow at the plate.
You didn't want to do that. And so now that little weasel Tommy Edman comes up. And he hits a 3-run homer to put the Dodgers ahead 3-0. Boyd would walk Will Smith before getting 2 strikeouts to end the inning, but the damage was done. Boyd went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. But 2 of those hits and all the runs came in the 6th. I thought it was a really good outing against the Dodgers, and Tommy Edman continues to build his reputation as a certified Cubs killer.
He sure is. Oh my gosh, Crawly.
He's slashing 277, 316, 502 against the Northsiders. And when you look at the number of home runs Tommy Edman's hit in his career, he's had anywhere from like 0 to 3 against most teams. He's had 5 against the Reds, 7 against the Pirates and Brewers. The most home runs he has against any team, 14 against the Cubs in his career. But, you hold Ohtani, Betts, and Teoscar Hernandez and Freddie Freeman to only 2 hits. You think you're going to do good, but Tommy Edman gets one up. Dustin, we talked in the last episode, the Dodgers are first in 18th in batting average, but second in baseball slug when they came into that game. Mm-hmm. And that just shows how they win games right there, right?
Yep, that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
The only good thing is that the Cubs ended Ohtani's 29-game on-base streak, but another impressive outing for Matt Boyd.
Yeah, very impressive overall. No doubt about it.
So game 2, Ben Brown versus Roki Sasaki. You're nervous, right? Because going into the game, the Cubs are now 0-3 against the Dodgers. They had Ben Brown on the mound, who gave up 5 runs, 7 hits, 4 walks, and 4 innings his last time out. Counsell announced that Colin Rea would be starting Sunday on ESPN. I mean, to me, Dustin, things were looking bleak. Didn't look good.
No, I think I had suggested for the listening audience that likes to dabble in gambling, I want to say I suggested to bet the over.
Well, you hit on that one because the Cubs crushed the Dodgers 16-0. And Dustin, Ben Brown pitched a gem. And because of the offensive output, people may forget how good he did and that this was a close game, 2-0 going into the 7th inning. And so it was just such a huge game for Ben because of the injury to Justin Steele and because he struggled so much in his last start. I mean, he pitched 6 scoreless innings, gave up 5 hits, 0 walks, and 5 Ks. And that's when we talk about the next man up mentality. If the Cubs are going to go,
that's a great point. Great point. Yep. Great point.
If the Cubs are going to go deep in October, Dustin, a guy like Ben Brown is going to have to break out. And it's, again, you don't want to put that kind of pressure on a kid, but somebody
has to make that step, right? Somebody has to become at least the second guy, right? Because, there was a good discussion whether the ace of the staff was Shota or it was Justin Steele. Now, Justin Steele's not there, right? So that's not an option. So right now, by default, it's definitely Shota, but now somebody has to be the true number 2.
And maybe that person's on the roster. Maybe it's Ben Brown. Maybe it's someone that's not on the team yet, but just so great that we had Ben Brown on the podcast before. He's just a great kid and love to see it. It felt like 2 different games, right? The first 6 innings was a close ball game with great pitching by Ben Brown and Roki Sasaki and some great defense. Cubs get on the board in the 2nd inning when Michael Busch hits a solo home run to put the Cubs up 1-0. Former Dodger doing damage to his old team. Busch wasn't done yet. Bases loaded, 2 outs. He hits one, Dustin, 399 feet to dead center. Andy Pahits, look at that. Look at that catch that he makes. Robs Busch of a grand slam. But that was just unbelievable. And then Busch would hit a leadoff double in the 6th and would score when another former Dodger, Justin Turner, singled to make it 2-0. But how much does Busch love hitting against the Dodgers? I mean, how about a little revenge? Coming into that game, 5 career road games at Dodger Stadium, 9 for 22, 409 batting average, home run 2, doubles 4, OPS 1298. I mean, he had one hell of a week. I don't know how he wasn't player of the week. They gave it to William Contreras. I thought that Busch got robbed. He should have been player of the week.
Yeah,
If you look at the
I
numbers.
think it's because it's Sunday night baseball, all that they forget and people are in bed or whatever. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but I'm just trying to answer I'm just trying to answer your question, right? I'm just trying to answer your question. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Just trying to answer it and try to figure out how the heck they didn't do that.
Now, after the 6th inning, the wheels come completely off the Dodgers. Carson Kelly led off the inning with a home run. That was followed by a walk, 4 straight singles, a force out, a stolen base, a sac fly, and a line out.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yes. When the inning ended, 9 Cubs had come to the plate, 5 runs scored. Cubs were up 7-0. Then in the 8th inning, walk, double, single, and then a homer by Miguel Amaya. Cubs up 11-0. Position player pitching, Miguel Rojas comes in, thought he'd be cute and imitate all his Dodger pitcher teammates, but he gives up a single, then he gets 3 outs. He comes back in the 9th, gives up a double, a homer, a ground out single, hit by pitch, double ground out, double single, a fly out, and another partridge in a pear tree. Cubs are up 16-0. That's how it ends. Michael Busch, 4 for 6 with 3 RBIs. That was on a Saturday. Home run, 2 doubles, just missed that grand slam. Carson Kelly was 3 for 3 with 2 home runs. Dustin, let's get to some fun facts about this game. You remember the last time the Cubs won a game 16-0?
I do not.
Jake Arrieta, 2016, no hitter in Cincinnati. Last time they won 16-0. How about this one from our buddy Chris Kompka? Cubs won 18-3 March 31st at the Athletics in Sacramento. They won 16-0 against the Dodgers. First time the Cubs have had 2 15-plus run wins in the season since 1970, and the season's only 17 games old. How about this one? The Cubs scored 4 runs in the 4+ runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th tonight, becoming the 6th team in history since at least 1912 to do it.
Wow.
Dustin, it was the worst shutout loss for the Dodgers since 1965 and the worst at home in franchise history. The last time they had a loss that bad at home, it was 15-0 in 1898 to the Pirates before radio. Absolutely ridiculous. So
those are some fun facts.
That was a great game.
Those are some fun facts. All right, so that was a great game. So you're feeling pretty good. Then we already talked about the news. So you're maybe watching the Masters, maybe you're getting ready for Sunday night baseball. And then how long did it take him to name the game 3 starter? And I was a little bit surprised by who the game. I thought it might be him, but I actually thought it was going to be Jordan Wicks.
Right. It was Saturday they made the announcement. So, we found out on Sunday Justin Steele season-ending elbow surgery. As fun as Saturday was, Seiya Suzuki came out, and that's why Miguel Amaya was in the game.
Yep.
And that meant that the Cubs DH would be Justin Turner, who we talked about, don't start against Tyler Glass now. He's 0 for 14 against him and didn't do any better in this game. And the Cubs, again, with Colin Reyes started, you're going to make it a
And this was the game I was really worried about. I was really worried about this one.
And not only that, it was a nationally televised game. How often do the Cubs lay an egg on a nationally televised game?
No.
Just all the cards stacked against you. Colin Ray did well. He pitched 3 1/3 innings, and the only run he gave up was on a Kike Hernandez RBI single to put the Dodgers up 1-0. That lead didn't last long. PCA, who grew up 20 minutes outside of Dodger Stadium, led off the 3rd with a solo home run, his first of the season. The game would remain tied against the 6th when who else? Michael Busch hit a solo home run to put the Cubs up for the first time, 2-1. And Dustin, that looked like he hit it in the same spot PCA did. Unfortunately, in the bottom of the inning, Caleb Thielbar came in to relieve Brad Keller, who pitched an inning and a third of shutout baseball. And Thielbar struggled. He faced 3 batters, gave up a single, a double to put runners at second, third. He gave up a sac fly to tie the game. Craig Counsell comes and gives him the hook. So tie game, 1 out, runner at third. Ethan Roberts comes out of the pen. He gets Kike Hernandez to line out. Matt Shaw made a fantastic catch at third base. And then he got Miguel Rojas to line out to center to end the inning. So great job by Ethan Roberts. He's been on the podcast before. He stranded that runner at third with 1 out. So instead of taking the lead, the Dodgers squandered that opportunity. And Dustin, how often does Pat Hughes say, that could be a momentum shift, right?
No.
The Dodgers had an opportunity.
They had a chance. You're right. They had a chance.
Could have made it a 3-2 game. Instead, they blow it. And then the very next half inning, PCA unties it. Second home run of the game. Pete, like I said, he grew up close to Dodger Stadium. He had a lot of friends and family there. And when he was rounding the third base on that second home run, he blew his parents some kisses. He also hit a triple. So great homecoming for PCA.
Sure was.
Score still 3-2 in the top of the eighth. Kyle Tucker hit a ground rule double that landed on the line, originally called foul. I'm yelling for the earmuffs. Council challenges it. It's overturned. Dustin, that double extended his on-base streak to 17 games, dating to March 19th. And it is the longest active streak in the majors. He advanced to third on a wild pitch. Juster Turner walked. Michael Busch struck out, and Dansby Swanson popped out to first. But Nico hit a clutch 2-out RBI single to give the Cubs a valuable insurance win. 4-2 is how this one would end. Dustin, I thought that, again, Colin Rail looked good. I thought everybody in the bullpen, other than Caleb Thielbar, did a great job. That was Brad Keller, Ethan Roberts, Julian Merriweather. Porter Hodge looked filthy in the eighth. I mean, that was video game stuff.
Yes.
And Ryan Presley, I thought, no Stressley, that he did a really
he was
great
Presley,
job.
not Stressley. Yeah, Presley, not Stressley on Sunday night.
I think he's looking better and better, and it looks like these guys are starting to click, and I think we got the perfect setup man and closer. But I am concerned about Caleb Thielbar. He is the only lefty in the Cubs pen. He's appeared in 7 games, pitched 5 2/3 innings.
I guess maybe Jordan Wicks is going to the Cubs pen. I mean, why in the world did you bring him from Iowa and then not play him on Sunday? I don't understand that.
In case of emergency, break glass, I would say. But he gave up 3 hits, 5 walks, and 4 runs. And since coming back from Japan, he's given up at least 1 run in every other game he's appeared in. So like in 50% of his appearances since coming back from Japan, he's given up a run. And so I don't know. They've picked up a new guy. You got, like you said, I don't know if they want to do Jordan Wicks as a bullpen piece. But you hope that Luke Little's getting healthy or maybe the new guy, but Caleb Thielbar has not impressed so far, but
not even a tiny little bit. I didn't like him in spring training. I haven't liked him so far. I haven't liked him so far at all, but overall, Crawly, really good series, right? I mean, we sat here last time we got together and I said, one of my lines from when they were losing 90 games a season, just don't get swept, right? Just don't get swept. Not only didn't they get swept, but they made a statement against the world champs.
100% agree with you.
You are listening to the Fly the W6. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. It's episode 21. It's season number 4. Michael Busch got his revenge against his former team, the Dodgers. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us one of those 5-star reviews. You can email us, crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com, crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com, and you can watch us on Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Crawly. So after the Cubs started out with 2 out of 3 in LA, how do they sit in the standings as they're about to get going against the Padres a little later tonight?
How about an 11-7 record right now? They are in first place, followed by Cincinnati and Milwaukee, both 8-8. St. Louis drops to 7-8, and Pittsburgh is in the basement, 5-11. Dustin, I was excited to see the Cubs in first place, and we've talked about that very, very difficult record. And when I sit there and look at that, I say to myself, man, we just said stay 500, tread water, do what you can. But to me right now, I'm just looking at this and saying to myself, this team is looking really, really good right now. I'm super impressed.
All right. I mean, why not? Right. I mean, they're scoring a lot of runs too, right? I mean, this offense is really, really clicking right now.
Yeah, they're definitely clicking. And I'm looking at it and just saying to myself, yeah, these are the guys right now that I feel like I'm super impressed with what they're doing. And I just think it's been a lot of fun so far. I think that this has been a fun season. And again, you get past this rough stretch and you're in good shape. You have a chance to really kind of do something here. And I think that's what Cub fans are really hoping for. It's just, the one thing you don't want is what we got, which was injuries. That was the one thing.
We just took a look at the standings. We're talking about how much we like the Cubs, and that's obvious because we're, the Fly the W podcast. We're 2 huge Cub fans. But what does the power rankings say, Crawly?
The power rankings. So you saw some teams drop, Dustin. The Diamondbacks are at 10. The Rangers at 9. They were previously at number 5. The Tigers at 8, so they moved up. Yankees dropped down to 7. Previously, they were 3. Giants are 6th. Cubs are now number 5 in MLB's power rankings. And again,
Interesting. That's a big jump. I mean, that's got to be the biggest jump since we were last together.
The Mets are jumping up there. They're at number 4. Phillies at number 3. Padres, who the Cubs place at number 2. And even though the Cubs beat them, the Dodgers are still at number 1. So MLB loves the Dodgers. Every time something happens Dodger-wise, they tweet it out in all caps. It's kind of annoying. So I'm just happy right now the way the Cubs are doing, and hopefully they can catch up with the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's what the goal is. But they don't need to do it right now. Take care of your division, get to the tournament, and we'll go from there. All right, some news off the field, Crawly.
Yeah, Mike Rodriguez reported that the Cubs and Kyle Tucker were discussing a possible extension. So if you look here, Mike Rodriguez says, according to my sources, the Cubs and Kyle Tucker are already discussing a possible contract. Let's see what happens. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't know Mike Rodriguez. He's not as big as, obviously, as Ken Rosenthal or Jeff Passan. But go look at his Twitter account. He seems pretty plugged in. He was all over the Vladimir Guerrero news. A few days later, you saw another report coming out. This one from Hector Gomez, kind of the same type, a guy that's plugged in, knows a lot. He's saying 10 to 11 years, 450 to 500 million, will not contain any defer money or opt-out opportunities with a full no trade clause. That was kind of similar to what we were talking about the potential for an extension, 10 years, 5 to me, I would say 5 to 550, right?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But Dustin, do you think these talks have happened? Not to criticize Mike or Hector, but how confident do you feel that the Cubs may be negotiating?
I think they are. I think there are talks. I don't know that they've maybe laid out an exact number figure, but I think they're talking years and guarantees. And you're seeing like what Vlad Guerrero got up in Toronto. And if you're looking to do something similar to that. So I would be disappointed to learn that there was no conversation. I think that would be really dumb.
Well, I want your opinion on this one. Buster Olney has a podcast, Baseball Tonight, and he had Jeff Passan on the other day. And Buster is going to ask Jeff what where he thinks a year from now, roughly speaking, let's say 11 months from now, where Kyle Tucker lands. I want your opinion on this and hear what you have to say.
A year from today, what uniform do you think he'll be wearing? And I understand the folly of asking you for a prediction like that much, in the same way. And by the way, I was totally with you on Vladdy. I didn't think when that started that he would get $300 million, and he wound up getting a lot more. But a year from today, who would you guess based on current, weather conditions? Well, who do you think winds up landing Kyle Tucker?
You know what I'm going to do here, Buster? I'm going to give some hope to Chicago Cubs fans, because we have seen, let's parallel the Cubs and the Blue Jays. The Cubs have gone, they haven't gone after Ohtani or Soto with the same level of fervor that they should have. But it was because Tom Ricketts is unwilling to spend. And that narrative, once it starts chasing you and once it starts bumming out your fans, I think it gets to owners after time. And I don't think Tom Ricketts wants his reputation to be the cheap Cubs owner. If you have the chance to sign this guy after giving up Isaac Paredes and Cam Smith and Hayden Wisniewski for him, and all you get back if you don't sign him is not even a first-round draft pick, I mean, to me, it screams that this is a situation in which Tom Ricketts has to go outside of his comfort zone and keep a franchise-type player around, because we see the impact, Buster, that he's had on that lineup. It's profound. I mean, the Cubs are a completely different team with him in the middle of that order than they are otherwise. So I'm going to be an optimist.
So, Dustin, taking a look at this right here, Let me ask you a question. Couple things that he brings up there. Number one, it is a completely different offense with Kyle Tucker in this lineup.
No doubt.
Let's
He
look at
totally stretches the thing out.
Is the team that much different from last year if you look at the lineup? What are the big differences?
Well, the biggest one obviously is
right, but it's what I'm saying is it's not like they signed 3 or 4 guys. Basically, you have the same offense this year. I mean, I know Carson Kelly's been going nuts.
Well,
but
the catching position is good from day one, right?
Right.
And Kyle Tucker is a 5, and Cody Bellinger's like a 3.5. That's the difference.
I mean, to me,
and maybe that's not fair. Maybe that's not fair to Cody, but
it is.
Tucker's a 5 and Cody's about a 3.5.
I'm gonna go with Kyle Tucker's a 10 and Cody's a 5. I think he's twice. As good.
I was going in on a scale of 5. 5
out of 5.
Okay. I was going out of 5. So I was saying he was a 5, and Cody was a 3.5.
Okay. Well, I would put Cody a little bit less than you. I would say 2.5, maybe 3. But I would just say this: what do you think about the idea that Tom Ricketts? We've said that we've had on this podcast. We've played clip after clip from Heyman, Passan, Rosenthal, you name it. We've had the clips of the guys calling out Cubs ownerships, and they haven't gone after the guys like Ohtani or Soto, or if you want to go back further, Harper, Machado, all these guys. At some point, and we saw it at CubsCon, we saw the kid asking Tom Ricketts, why is he so cheap?
God, that was so disgusting, though. God.
Right, but I'm just saying the narrative's out there. And it's getting under his skin.
He doesn't like it.
It's getting under his skin.
No, he does not like it.
But the Cubs raised beer prices again this year. Can you? Really? Yeah. Can you? It's like $14 without tip or anything like that.
So $14 for like a cup of Old Style.
Yes. Wow. And so I'm just asking you: can Tom Ricketts show up at CubsCon? Can he literally expect fans to keep showing up? If he lets, this is like right now, you and I had this conversation, enjoy Kyle Tucker, enjoy it in the moment, but you can't help but kind of in the back of your head, ask yourself, are they going to let this guy walk? And what kind of mistake would that be? Do you feel that Tom Ricketts is feeling the pressure to get out of his comfort zone and sign Kyle Tucker?
I sure do. I do think he feels it. I really do.
Do you feel enough to open up the pocketbook?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, that's kind of this is where we're at. This is the price of paying poker these days.
Right. And I keep thinking the Dodgers payroll is astronomical, the Mets, and a lot of are there a bunch of teams that are willing to do this? Obviously Toronto's off the board. They're a team that had tried really hard to get a lot of these type of players. And so now Toronto's off the board. I mean, who else? I just wonder beside the Cubs that are willing to kind of offer what they can offer, that have the resources to offer that kind of contract.
Well, right. You wonder like who are the Cubs working against, right?
Correct.
Who's also in that stratosphere? And that's a great question.
Right. We're going to have to look deeper into that one, but Tucker wasn't the only one. The Cubs are rumored to sign an extension.
This one's very interesting too.
Yeah, Mark Feinstein reported that PCA, the Cubs were talking with PCA about a possible extension, right? And so this is what he said. He clarified from his original purse sources, the deal the Cubs offered PCA could have maxed out $75 million if all option years had been exercised, but was not a guaranteed contract in the range. So he wasn't going to get $75 million. But whether mutual opt-outs, et cetera, if he would have gone all the way and the Cubs didn't have an opt-out, he could have made $75 million. But it's not, there's nothing done just yet, Dustin.
No, nothing done just yet. But I like that they're talking to him about it, right? I think there's nothing wrong with that. And that kind of, it's a lot of dough, but they might be getting ahead of the game, and who knows what the next collective bargaining agreement's what kind of a deal that's going to be. So it could be a good move, for him as well.
Now, PCA, the beat reporters talked to him about this story before the game. He said the communication has been really great throughout all levels of this conversation, but there's been a general understanding and a general consensus that we're not going to let it be a distraction throughout this year, because I'm here to play baseball end quote. But Dustin, a lot of teams are trying to sign these young guys to long deals. You saw Milwaukee do it with Jackson Chourio, the team that the Cubs are playing this weekend. We're going to be watching. Jackson Merrill's one of the most exciting young players in baseball. They signed him to a big long-term contract. Now, PCA, I don't think has produced to the level of Chourio or Merrill, but it's definitely very exciting. One of the best defensive players in baseball, one of the fastest on the base path. He creates havoc. He just has to get more consistent, and he'll be doing that with more at bats. But once it clicks, we saw it in the second half of the season. It's a little bit out to a slow start, but he's picking it up. But he could be someone that's anchoring that center field position that the Cubs have had struggles with for the last God knows how many years.
All right, let's move into the injury report. We've already spent some time talking about Justin Steele, but with him going on the IL, there had to be a roster move to go along with that.
Right. Ethan Roberts was recalled from Iowa, and he's been doing well. Seiya Suzuki left the game Saturday, and Miguel Amaya came in to pinch hit. We found out after the game that Seiya jammed his wrist, stealing second on April 7th, that Monday night against the Rangers, the same night that Steele got injured. And so Suzuki re-aggravated that injury. And so now we're seeing Justin Turner as the DH.
Yeah.
And
So the report now is that we may not see Seiya until the weekend.
Great. So speaking of Sunday, catcher Carson Kelly had to leave the game after getting hit by the hand by Tyler Glass. Now, X-rays came back negative from any structural damage, but I saw him in the post-game talking, and it looked like a baseball was on the bottom of his hand. It looked bad. It was bruised and swollen. We don't have any info while we're recording this on a IL stint yet, so let's just assume day-to-day. But the Cubs do have some potential reinforcements on the way. Javier Assad is heading to Iowa for some rehab starts. Tyson Miller will join him there, and Vidal Brujan already started his rehab assignment on Thursday. Dustin, the Cubs also signed left-handed reliever Tom Cosgrove from the Padres for cash considerations. He was drafted by the Padres in 2017. He did well for the Friars in 2023, pitching 54 games with a 1.75 ERA, but he struggled with injuries in 2024, pitching only 18 innings with an 11.66 ERA. He was assigned to the Iowa Cubs. But again, Dustin, I'm not going to get mad trying to take a flyer on more lefties. We need lefties.
No, God, they need lefties. And again, maybe it's going to be Wicks. Maybe Wicks is going to be the left-handed bullpen guy. Really looking forward to having Tommy Hotovy on this week with the Mully and Haw show, and trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do with him moving forward.
Definitely report back to us on the next podcast. Let us know what Tommy says.
Of course, absolutely. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. It is season number 4. It's episode 21. Michael Busch, Crawly, has gotten his revenge against the Dodgers. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, leave a review. You can also email us, crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com, crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. Watch us on Crawly Clubhouse's YouTube page. All right, Crawly, we are just a few minutes away from Cubs and Padres. So let's get through this so we can all get in front of the radio with Pat and Ron or on Marquee, because the Padres, unfortunately, Crawly, have still not lost a game at Petco Park.
True, but that's what we were saying about the Dodgers when we talked last time.
Correct.
The Padres are in first place in the NL West, 13-3. They started their season with a 4-game sweep of the Braves, a sweep of the Guardians. They took 2 of 3 from the A's. They swept the Rockies this weekend with Michael King pitching a complete game shutout to close out the series. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. The only team to win a series against the Padres are Chicago Cubs, who took 2 of 3 when the Padres came to town for the Wrigley Field opening weekend. If you remember, Shota Imanaga shut down the Padres in the opener while the Cubs scored on a bases-loaded walk, a Justin Turner single, and a Manny Machado error. Matt Boyd pitched 6 shutout innings in the second game. Carson Kelly homered and hit an RBI single, and Dansby Swanson homered as the Cubs took game 2, 7-1. It looked like a sweep was coming as they jumped out to a 7-0 lead after 2 innings, but Ben Brown and the bullpen allowed the Friars to score 5 unanswered runs as San Diego took the finale in Wrigley. So you got a feeling that the Padres are out for blood and a little bit of revenge here.
Yeah, you'd think so. They should be motivated. I'm sure they didn't like the weather, the elements that they were playing in when they came to the Federal Landmark.
No, sir.
Tail of the tape time, Crawly. Is it tail of the tape? All right, let's do it.
Tale of the tape. All right. So when we take a look at tail of the tape, you're looking at a team. The Padres have the best batting average in baseball, 283. The Cubs are 6 at 256. When we talk about slug, the Cubs are third in slug with 439. Padres are seventh with 423. How about this, Dustin? I don't remember the last time this happened. The Cubs are first in baseball with runners in scoring position with a 302 average.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The Padres are 10th with a 257 average. Starting pitching, the Padres have the edge, 354. They are 9th in baseball, while the Cubs are 386, 14th. Reliever, this is the thing, Dustin. The reliever whip, walks and hits and innings pitch. The Padres, 0.91, second in all of baseball. You do not want to have to face that bullpen or that closer. I'm telling you that. The Cubs bullpen only slightly better this week, 25th in baseball with reliever whip, 1.57. And then when we talk about fielding, the Padres are worth 0 defensive rub save and the Cubs -1. But that's a stat that kind of just starts to kind of move out. You get to get more of a clearer picture as the season gets along.
Yep, no doubt about that. How about fielding?
Yep, roughly about the same. So we get into the probables here. Tonight, 8:40 p.m. 8:40, Dustin. I know you're not going to probably make this one. I've got the coffee brewing.
I don't know that I will see the whole game, but I hope to see at least a couple of pitches because I am very curious because like we talked about earlier, Crawly, somebody needs to step up, and the king is your Jameson Tyone, the king of the Dustin Rhodes quality starts here, is the guy that needs to step the what up.
Yeah, he's going up against former Cub Dylan Cease. J-Mo is 1-1 with a 6.06 ERA in 3 starts, 14 Ks in 16 and a third innings pitch. He did not see the Padres in that first homestand in Wrigley, but he pitched a quality start on April 2nd versus the A's, giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. And in his last start against the Rangers, he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. So 2 quality starts there. J-Mo is 2-0 in his career against the Padres with a 2.19 ERA in 4 starts. Martin Maldonado is 5 for 14 lifetime against Tyone. Jose Iglesias 6 for 11, and Jason Hayward 8 for 21. So, Tyone struggles against those side. But on the flip side, Luis Arias is 2 for 10, and Xander Bogaerts is only 6 for 26. So kind of surprising. Though the weaker hitters do better against J-Mo than the guys you expect to be able to hit him well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm really curious to see how this plays out.
Yep, and Cub fans are familiar with Dylan Cease, and you might be even more familiar with him. He shaved his beard. He looked like he did when he was in the Cubs minor league system. So he was the Cubs 2014 6th-round draft pick, went to the South Side with Eloy Jimenez for Jose Quintana in 2017. This year, Dylan is 1-1 with a 7.98 ERA and 3 games started with 18 strikeouts and 14 2/3 inning. But those numbers, again, are deceiving. In the first start against Atlanta, he gave up 3 runs in 4 1/3 innings. He pitched a little better in his second start against the Guardians, giving up 1 run in 6 1/3 innings. But his last start against the A's was a disaster. He gave up 9 runs on 9 hits with 3 walks and 4 Ks in just 4 innings of work. Now, Dustin, we saw that Sacramento park, that minor league park, and that's goofy. I don't know how much you can take from that. But it'll be interesting. Not too many Cubs have more than 5 at-bats against Cease, but Kyle Tucker's had success. He's 5 for 11 lifetime against Dylan, but Nico Horner's 0 for 6, and Ian Happ 1 for 18. We know Dylan is going to pump that fastball in at 96 miles per hour and finish you out with that wipeout slider. So, it like you said, I think this is going to be an interesting game to watch.
No doubt about it. All right, game number 2. This is also going to be an 8:40 first pitch. Shota versus Randy Vasquez.
Yes, sir. A rematch of the Wrigley opener. Shota Imanaga, 2-1 with the 2.70 ERA in 4 games this season with 14 strikeouts and 23 1/3 innings. Pitched well on 329 against Arizona. He gave up 1 run in 7 innings. He shut down the Padres on opening day at the Friendly Confines, 7 1/3, gave up 1 run. That run was a home run to Martin Maldonado. That was a basket shot. But he struggled in his last start against the Rangers. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings with 2 home runs. He's 1-0 lifetime against the Padres in 2 starts with a 1.88 ERA. Fernando Tatis has had a little luck against Shota, 2 for 5, but San Diego's big boppers have struggled to hit him. Luis Arias 1 for 7, Xander Bogaerts 0 for 6, and Manny Machado 0 for 6. We know Imanaga will use his 4-seam fastball up in the zone and use his splitter to try to get the Padres to change their eye level. Randy Vasquez, 1-1 with a 1.72 ERA in the 3 games he started with 6 strikeouts and 15 2/3 innings pitched. So with Shota and Randy Vasquez, it's not going to be a whole bunch of strikeouts. You're going to see contact. In his last three starts, he's had 2 good ones and 1 not so good one, which was against the Cubs. On 329 against the A's, he pitched 6 scoreless innings against the Cubs on 4-4. He didn't have control. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, 5 walks. He walked in a run with the bases loaded, but he had a good bounce back start in his next outing, giving up 1 run in 3 innings. He's 0-1 lifetime against the Cubs with an ERA of 3 in 2 starts against them, but nobody's really got a lot of experience against Randy Vasquez.
All right, Crawly, moving into the third game. This is an afternoon affair, 3:10, and Matt Boyd, who I'm really enjoying, going up against Nick Pivetta.
Yep, Matt Boyd, 1-1, 1.59 ERA in 3 starts, 17 strikeouts and 17 innings pitched. Didn't give up a run in his first 2 starts in Arizona and San Diego before giving up a 3-run homer to that weasel Tommy Edman in the 6th inning on Friday against the Dodgers. That start against the Padres at Wrigley was the first time in Matt Boyd's career that he went up against the Friars. Only a handful of pods have seen Boyd. Xander Bogaerts 3 for 14. Uriel Gurriel is 1 for 10. And Martin Maldonado is 2 for 12. Matt will have to be careful with Manny Machado, who's 4 and 10 with 2 doubles against him. Nick Pivetta, 2-1 with a 1.59 ERA in 3 starts with 18 strikeouts and 17 innings pitched. Pivetta looked brilliant in 2 of his 3 starts he made. Pitched 7 shutout innings in his first start against the Braves. In his last against the Rockies, he pitched 7 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts. The only stinker was at Wrigley Field on Sunday when he gave up 3 runs on 6 hits with 3 walks in 3 innings. I'm sorry, on Saturday. And so this is a rematch of that second game at Wrigley. Pivetta is 1-2 in his career against the Cubs with a 4.74 ERA in 5 games, 4 of them starts. Pavetta's had success against Ian Happ, who's 1-7 against him. Tucker's 2 for 10, but Justin Turner 5 for 8, and Dansby is 10 for 32. Pivetta features a 4-seam, a curve, and a sweeper.
All right, I like our chances in that one. We'll get the predictions in a minute. The hot and the not. Unfortunately, one of the Cubs' hotter hitters won't be in the lineup for a couple of days.
Yeah, when you look at the hot as far as the Cubs are concerned, you got Seiya Suzuki 6 for 13 with triple and 3 RBIs, slashing 462, 500, 615. He's out. And then we talked about Michael Busch's success over the last week. He's 7 for 17, Dustin, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, slashing 412, 444, 882. Absolutely phenomenal. As far as the not is concerned, same couple guys lately. Dansby Swanson is 3 for 20 with 1 home run and 5 RBIs. He's slashing 150, 143, 300. And Matt Shaw's going through those rookie struggles. He's 1 for his last 13 with 1 walk, 5 strikeout. He's slashing .077, .143, .077. So you hope he can get off the schneid.
Yes. All right. On the Padres, who do Cub fans have to be worried about?
You got to be worried about Xander Bogaerts. The shortstop's 8 for 19 with 2 doubles. He's slashing 421, 429, 526. Of all people, Martin Maldonado's 4 for his last 11, slashing 364, 360, 364. Those are the guys that are really hot. Even Jason Hayward, 4 for 12 with a home run and 2 RBIs, slashing 333, 385, 583. But kind of some of their bigger hitters just aren't really doing that much right now. Luis Ariz, who's just always a really good hitter. He's 5 for his last 23 with no extra base hits. So he's slashing 217, 217, 217. Right fielder Brandon Lockridge is 3 for his last 17, slashing 176, 222, 176.
All right, here we go, Crawly. It is prediction time. I think you went first last time. I'll go first this time. They're not going to get swept. They're going to win at least 1 game. I think if I'm worried about a game the most, it's tonight. Tonight's the game I'm a little bit worried about. I think Dylan Cease is going to be, back throwing his, untouchable kind of stuff. A lot of swing and miss. I'm predicting the Cubs will strike out 8 or 9 times tonight, which is not obviously your best thing. And I need to see more of Jameson Taillon. I'm not all on JMO. So I'm going to say that the Cubs won't get swept, and they do have a chance to go 2 out of 3 here. But my official prediction will be 1-2.
I got them going 1-2 as well.
Which game do you like? What's your win?
I like the Shota Imanaga start.
Okay.
It's the one that makes me most comfortable.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens. Again, they're doing really good, and so I mean, we've been wrong again with the Dodgers. It's hard to win on the road, and again, you're talking about a Padres team that hasn't lost yet. But
They
again,
lost at home yet,
the
right?
Dodgers.
Yeah, but the Dodgers same way, exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Dustin, I do want to thank our listeners tonight. Bill Watts says, welcome back to the air, fellas. So good to see Bill Woods. He made the sign right behind me. You can follow him at Fly the Woods. Our buddy Scott Nelson is on watching here. He was talking about the Cubs right now. Should have won the division in 1970, and Scott would know. Our friend Chip Palea out in Mesa. Guys, you can jump in any time. And so Bill Watts made a great point. He said, Crane said the new alternative jersey merch has more sales to date in a couple of weeks than the Wrigleyville had the entire first year. Cubs have money. They should spend it. I agree. Thank you guys for joining in, watching, and contributing. And we're going to continue to do these live shows. So make sure you share it on Facebook, wherever, and we'll still have the podcast that you can listen to wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Crawly, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Have any questions? We've got answers. Email Crawly and I at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. We will get back to you, or we may even feature it on the podcast. And you can watch us by subscribing to Crawly's Clubhouse on the YouTube channel. Crawly, stay up late, enjoy the games. Tune in tomorrow if you fall asleep, and I'll be recapping it at 5 a.m. on the Score.
Absolutely. And let's just put it this way. The Northsiders did it to the Dodgers. Maybe they're going to hand the Padres their first loss. Go Cubs!
It's all over.